Hey folks, I promised to do a second installment on this guitar here from our friends at Leo James. They sent me this guitar to review, so I do two reviews. I do one out of the box and then I do a second one after setup, and I have to say I didn't have to do very much at all to this guitar. It was really pretty well set up out of the box. The action's just fine, feels really good. The strings seem really decent as well. The only thing I really did is just nick some of the burrs off the fret ends. They weren't really sprouted. They're just a couple of sharp points as I go up and down. And you take a three-cornered file and you just nick the burrs off the corners and it makes it smoother. And that's pretty much all I did to this guitar. The rest of the setup is just fine. So if you were to buy this particular guitar, I don't think that you would have any problem. I think it is, you know, for the $250 price range or whatever it is. This is the new LP Deluxe from Leo James. It comes in 3 different finishes. This being the most staggering in terms of wood figure. You get the quilted top, and it is some sort of veneer, and then a one-piece mahogany back, no seams, so it's really, really nice. Very nice sort of chocolate swirly rosewood board with the trapezoid inlays and the black-faced headstock, sort of typical shield shape, and the Grover tuners on this. And it just says single cut deluxe on the front, so no mention of Les Paul, although I think they put LP on their listings on the website. Another thing I had to do was jig the switch so it goes up and down. I think it was going side to side, but that was pretty much just reposition and tighten. White binding all the way throughout this guitar. The pickups are pretty decent. I can't tell a whole lot of difference between these and the types that IYV use, the Destiny Wound pickups. I'm not sure what these are. These are you know, Leo James's. They have them made for them, or they make them themselves and put them in their guitars. They don't really put much description into these. Very normative stuck tail bridge, tunematic style bridge, and the sort of amber knobs that you see a lot of times on these types of guitars. This black tea finish is really nice, and you can see the quilting, not so much on the camera, but trust me, it pops really nicely on this guitar. As I said on the previous video, I'm not a massive sunburst person, but there's something about the way they did this that doesn't bother me as much. I like the way that it's a very slight fade. It doesn't fade from yellow to black. It's you know, sort of more like a burst, a mild burst, if you want to say, call it that. It's all one color in the back, sort of an amber color. The back is varnished. Some of you may want to, you know, sandpaper that back a little bit to get, you know, the bare wood, not bare wood, but knock off the gloss. It doesn't seem to bother me that much. Not much more to say about this, except that I do think it's a big upgrade. I did have one of their other Les Pauls a couple of years back. I think the one with the Union Jack. And, you know, that was decent, and I think I gave it a reasonable review at the time. However, these new deluxe models, I think they've improved the production quite considerably with these. And I have to say that, having looked at a number of Leo James instruments now, this is probably the nicest one that I've come across. I think I've had one of the acoustics with all the beveling and everything, and then I think one of their Strats and maybe a couple of their LP models. And this one I think is the nicest, certainly the nicest out of the box, and the easiest to set up. Very little required. I did have a nice exchange with the reps for Leo James, and they said they're still working on these designs and they hope to make them even better for next year's models. So it's sort of a work in progress from what I can tell, and they're going to keep updating them. I gave them my feedback. I hope they take it on board. But I think these are are quite nice. They are a bit more than the IYV equivalents, but I think the figuring in the top wood is slightly nicer. Some of the IYV emerald ones are really flamey and others are quite plain. This is really nice quilted maple in the top. It's a good spec'd instrument, and I think the fact that you get real stamped growers, and they look like the real licensed growers on the tuners, which a lot of you are switching to. You're buying cheap guitars and you're putting these on those guitars. Well, these are already on there, so you shouldn't have to worry too much about the tuning. I think the hardware is pretty decent. It's as good as most of the guitars, if not better, at this price. Some of you may want to update the pickups maybe to handle a bit more power if you want to gig with something like this, but for practice and small venue performance, these probably are going to be adequate. So yeah, I think this is a really nice addition to the Leo James lineup, and definitely the best experience I've had with this company. I'm not just saying that because this was a demo guitar that they sent me. I'm being honest. I actually think this is a cut above anything I've had of theirs, even though the last Strat model that I had was really nice as well. So kind of like Sawtooth, I see this company sort of improving with each of their offerings, and they're should be in the conversation for budget guitars relatively soon. This again is the black T model, Les Paul style guitar, or LP style guitar. I think the other one's a blue, translucent blue, and I forget what the third one is. It might be a regular sort of sunburst. I'm not sure. Make sure that when you go, if you look for these on the Amazon site, they're all listed on the same listing, and then you pick the color options, and there are a number of color options for the regular Les Paul guitars, and then there are 3 extra ones at the end. The last 3 color options are for the deluxe model. So if you're interested in one of these deluxe models, just keep that in mind, that you look for the correct listing color option on Amazon. Yeah, this is really nice. I think of all the Les Paul guitars I've had recently, I think this one is up there with the others. I've had good things to say about IYV, especially for that price. I really liked the Alan Eden southbound one that I got, the natural one, and I like this one too. I think those 3 have sort of stood out against all the other LP style models that I've had recently. So this one does come also with a Leo James padded gig bag and a little electric guitar book, which is nice too. I like the fact that they do put a gig bag with this, which a lot of companies don't, and I always admonish them. This company does. So of course, for a guitar this nice, you might want to upgrade to a hard shell case, or perhaps a more deluxe style gig bag, but at least you get something out of the box with this particular guitar. So this guitar is now featured on 3 of my videos. I did a LP shootout video with 4 different ones, and this was one of the 4, and then I did the review out of the box, straight out of the box, and this one is after a very, very, very rudimentary setup, just including a little bit of fret edge maintenance, nothing more than that. I did put a little oil on the fretboard as well, just to make sure that it's nicely lubricated. Everything else about this is dialed in quite nicely. It holds tune very well, as it should with Grover tuners. It's really quite a handsome looking guitar. So there you go. This is the LP Deluxe from Leo James. All right, folks. See you on the next one.